My name is Martin O'Dea. I am a Senior Inspector with the Health and Safety Authority and also Team Leader of the Taking Care of Business Unit. This presentation is about electricity. It's about the dangers associated with electricity. And we give a range of top tips to help both employers and employees in the workplace to avoid dangerous contact with electrical appliances.
Initially, I want to look at what gives rise to deaths and injuries from electricity. We have things such as poorly maintained electrical equipment, which can in itself give rise to easy access to live electrical conductors. A real problem is work near overhead lines, and in that situation, one touch of an overhead line can prove fatal. Also, underground cables can cause very serious burn injuries if one makes contact with them. Generally, in the house or in the office, we have 230 volt electricity or indeed 400 volt electricity, either which can electrocute. Obviously, the three-phase 400 volt is more dangerous, but in either case, they can give rise to fatal incidents. Another aspect which can cause serious accidents is unsuitable electrical equipment in explosive atmospheres. Electrical equipment can give rise to sparks and heating effects, which can actually cause an explosive atmosphere such as a spray booth to explode, giving rise to very serious injury. The other aspect which can cause serious injury is a fire started by poor electrical installations. Electricity is still a clear and present danger in the workplace. Each year gives rise to electrocutions in both the domestic and the workplace environment. If we look at the data comparison between the two aspects leading to electrocutions, we see that roughly 2/3, 1/3 breakdown between work and domestic. If we look then at the high voltage versus low voltage, and in this context, low voltage means the standard domestic type voltage or three-phase voltage, we look at approximately half and half. The HSA has published a code of practice in conjunction with ESB networks, which outline what to do to prevent such dangers and to prevent people being electrocuted from overhead lines. Our next slide shows the type of lorry or crane that is often involved in accidents, where the person operating the highlighted controls of the truck-mounted crane can often make the circuit with the overhead line if the crane makes contact with the power lines above. The person standing at the controls is in grave danger. Next slide shows a farmer's electric fence run across using the electricity network as the support. The middle wire is the farmer's electric fence. The two outside wires are two 20,000 volt power lines, which, if they make contact with that electric fence, could cause serious damage. And even the putting in place of the fence itself, whoever did it was putting themselves at serious risk in that instance. Next slide shows a practical step that can be taken in the workplace. It shows what's called a residual current device. Basically, they protect people. If there is a danger of electrocution from any of your socket circuits, these devices will protect you. However, they should be tested regularly, about twice a year, whereby you would push the test button and see that the residual current device trips. Our next slide shows some examples of the type of faulty installations which give rise to electrocutions. We have in one case a frayed cable that might be caused by a cut, whereby the live copper is exposed. We've had a number of instances where people make contact with a frayed cable of this nature and end up getting fatal injuries. Our second photograph on top shows a poor electrical connection, and again, if it makes contact with a person, can cause fatal injuries. Our two bottom photographs show instances where fire can result from overloads of sockets or a lack of fusing on sockets, and again, fire is a very real danger from an electrical installation. We would suggest that you should have your installation certified on a regular basis. We would also emphasize that overhead lines are clear and current danger. People should visually inspect their electrical installation. Often by just looking around, one can see serious risks from just having a visual check. Make sure all the plug tops are correctly fused, and that if fuses are blown, replace them with ones of the correct rating, again to prevent the occurrence of fire. All socket circuits must be indeed protected by a residual current device. Make sure if you're using a generator that your outside network is completely isolated, and make sure all distribution boards and fuse boards are kept free of rubbish and combustible material, again to prevent the potential risk of fire. And in the event of an accident, we would strongly urge that emergency first aid procedures are in place and that people are aware of the procedures to adopt in the event of an accident, and that one should use competent electricians for all electrical installation, for all electrical modifications.
There is a real danger associated with dangerous contact with electrical appliances. To help minimise any risk dangers, every distribution board should be fitted with a residual current device that should be tested on a regular basis to make sure it's functioning correctly. And also, dangers can also come from above. You need to be aware of overhead lines in the vicinity of your work activities. So look up before you carry out your job as well.